I live in a Commonwealth country. You can imagine the media right now. Help. The Queen didn't play a noticeable role in our country for the last few generations, besides owning all the land I stand on Lowell. When you buy a house, she owns the land under it, etc., and all your titles belong to the Crown technically. People like to say the woman didn't factor into the country still under her rule. Australia, Canada, New Zealand and other, Barbados, St. Lucia, PNG, etc., so there are a lot of street names, boats and all kinds of things that are named after her or the members of the royal family. This includes the usual like hospitals, navy ships and army equipment, wings of the local zoo and more. Many articles and talking heads also claim the Queen was worth $500 million. Other reports say the family business is worth $23 billion, and that's a lot of money. OMG, they own $28 billion in real estate assets, 2021, which cannot be sold, according to Forbes. The Crown Estate, $19.5 billion. Buckingham Palace, $4.9 billion. The Duchy of Cornwall, $1.3 billion. The Duchy of Lancaster, $748 million. Kensington Palace, $630 million. The Crown Estate of Scotland, $592 million. Just a thought, how much do you think Australia is worth? How much do you think the infrastructure, economy, undiscovered gold in the mines of Western Australia, and more are worth? How much do you think the people of Australia making money are worth? The tourism and the movie industries, etc., and now multiply that by 15 countries, and all the backdoor deals we'll never know about. I've always found it quite ignorant when people say she is irrelevant / just a figurehead. She might not be pulling the strings in your face, but her cronies always were. And I'm not sure if that was always her fault or what she wanted, while the rest of the world spits out articles featuring commoners who got to meet her when she was forced to make an appearance in their city, and the time she waved at them or wore one of her well-documented fancy ensembles. My country is pissing me off. MSM to be specific. Surprise, surprise, anything to get clicks. Anyone to get clicks. Some of my experience with the Queen. We've spoken about the Queen and the royal family my whole life. We're originally from the UK, there are usually news stories that some family is interested in. The Queen visited this shitberg place where I live in 2013. Australia even had a limited edition coin released to commemorate the occasion. Chogem was a big deal, apparently, one of the biggest this one-horse town had seen so far. The premier of this state at the time, GMO, nanny state-loving cute who everyone under the age of 65 hated, rigged it so all the traffic lights were green, from the airport to where the Queen was staying. The whole way for her and the entourage, citing safety reasons, which makes sense, though not many people seemed like they cared enough to bother security. It looked like the only people who cared were very old people who wouldn't be making the journey into the city, and beyond, to stand in a line in the sun all day for a glimpse of her car. When she attended the meeting, Bilderberg for the Commonwealth countries, people were told to stay away from the city unless it was necessary. We didn't want to go anyway, trust me, you fucks. On that note though, LOL, I did go. I just wanted to see what it was like. There were articles about apparent snipers on roofs, stop and search parties roaming the streets lawfully able to stop anyone to check their bags, pockets and phones. There was also an EMP-like measure where all phones in the area were killed within a certain radius so they couldn't receive or send calls / texts. Naturally, I had to find out if this shit was true, so I was there for a few hours to scope it out. But nothing happened. My phone seemed okay, no one tried to stop me walking around, so maybe the articles and nightly news were effective in scaring commoners from being in the city. What's in a name? Even though the royal family changed their surname to Windsor to divert attention from less than savory ties to a Nazi-affiliated history, there are streets in Melbourne and a suburb called Coburg because history doesn't forget. And neither does a good internet forum that hasn't been deliberately taken over and made into COINTELPRO by the feds. Ahem, let's roll. Ahem, 9/11. So for the newly initiated just waking up to the fact that the world is full of little gems hidden in plain sight and the media passes off as crazy conspiracy theory. Some of us were jumping up and down screaming about it for years and wondering why no one was looking. LOL, you all looking now though, huh? The problem is that these days there are more crackpots than ever sporting their truths and deliberately leading people in strange directions rather than just looking into paths that begin with evidence. Did she rule here lately? Aside from the homage to the royal family through naming of rec halls and hospitals, the obvious component, the Queen, technically, had a hand in his slash was through the Governor General, who is often the highest authority on high court appeals and things within the parliament or government that pertain to law. He or she is the Queen's go-between if needed, but it's mostly symbolic now? Because there is not much call for this person to do that kind of duty. The current AG was sworn in only June this year. I know that our Parliament Question Time, our Congress kinda, is illegal to stream as parody or chop up to make jokes of, and that sucks because if you watch it, it can get pretty lame and funny. When William and What's-Her-Face were married, Australia was warned that if there was a narration over the top or comedic stars making fun of the service, the palace was literally going to cut the feed to Australia. Excuse me while I cry at the near loss of that opportunity. Any excuse, unlike some parts of the world, this lame, forever trying to be controversial, country's admitted and proud left wing has used the monarch's death to push their politics. I go with what I think's correct on any given subject, so STFU about your left/right paradigm if you're going to go there. Some of the posts I've seen have been in ridiculously bad taste, and these ass clowns operate with no accountability from their brainwashed bases. I've seen jabs at colonization by white people, immediate pushes towards making this place a republic. Please? You idiotic plebs, you can't even keep a prime minister in without their own party backstabbing them and installing a person no one voted for. So, I'm not sure what I think of a monarchy, though it seems to be mostly in name only, versus a republic. What I do know, it's just not classy, and it's not edgy lol. There is an Aussie larrikin persona that we play up to and that you see in things like the latest Mortal Kombat movie, Crocodile, FML, Dundee and more. Aussies are supposed to be cheeky and funny, but it's changing with the interpretation of spoiled Twitter-type brats. This monarchy and the last few generations have seen a new way royalty is done in relations to the regular people in the building of several key structures around the world. It rings pathetic to anyone over the age of 16 who has a fully functioning mind. We must always question authority, their past, their motives and more, but it's just bad taste to bash an old woman before her body is even in the ground. When you're a public figure, you're open to all sorts of slander, criticism and rumor. I understand that, but look, no one wants to hear your shit at the moment. So please shut the fuck up and stop trying to get attention for just a week or something. Everyone else, you are a part of history. You are watching a changing of the guard. You just saw a person who was a symbol of Western values and order have her last picture taken with a WEF shill. And you saw her old ass son sit on a chair to take her place, keeping inside the gloating at the fortune and power finally handed over. What does this death mean? It means many things to many people, but don't get distracted because the only thing you can count on in any situation like this is that countless people will find a way to gain from it. Politicians, clickbait news companies, all industries you can think of. This is definitely a very important time in history, like 9/11, like the other PSYOP scam with the pox. All we can do is be thankful we were here to observe it, however the pieces fall at the end. TLDR. Get over yourself and STFU about things you have no knowledge on, unless you state you're talking out of your ass or it's an op-ed to begin with. Stop trying to be an edgelord, it's lame. Everyone has an opinion, this is mine. Sub to my Odyssey, Rumble, YouTube or site because you like to rock out with your cock out.
I've just realised that you're an author and can't even say the word duck. What the fucking hell's up with that?